This one wealth habit went so far towards changing my entire life. And it's a very simple one that I wanted to share with you today. And basically, for me, what it was making the mindset shift of thinking about myself as a consumer over to thinking about myself as an investor. And the results were just amazing for me in terms of making that simple shift of my identity when it came to money. Did I look at myself as someone that when I got more money, I just spent it all on things that I did or maybe didn't need that much? Or did I invest? And really, it's as simple and straightforward as that. So I used to think that wealth came from earning more money. So I really associated having a higher and higher paycheck with becoming wealthier and wealthier. Well, you know, and I know that in this very expensive world in which we live today, where prices on everything continue to go up faster than they have in maybe the last 30 to 40 years, the issue is that you can always spend more and more money. So even if you do get a raise at work, you end up being able to find plenty of things to spend it on. So having a high income does not necessarily mean that you are wealthy. If you look around at people who have very nice cars, live in big, beautiful homes, take incredible vacations, they may not be as wealthy as you think. They may just have high income and then be spending a lot of money each and every month. And so it's easy to get that confused with actual wealth. But the wealthy people, of course, there are, some people out there like that who can afford that lifestyle just fine. But in general, the truly wealthy people are the investors out there. And it really took a while for me to kind of realize this and stop thinking about wealth as something that when we got more money, I just went out and bought more stuff. I was really stuck in consumer mode. It's very easy to do lifestyle inflation, where every time you get a raise, you go out and upgrade your car or upgrade your home or apartment, buy yourself something new as a treat. None of those things are wrong or bad. And if that's the way you want to spend your money, no judgment from me whatsoever. It's yours to do exactly how you please with. But it really is important to understand that the money that comes in, that extra money, will not work for you in the long run if it all gets spent up front. But it's super easy to get locked into consumer mode. There's so much marketing that happens these days. We're just bombarded with marketing constantly. And so it is very, very easy to just get locked into consumer mode and not really know that there's another way. Well, there is another way, and that way was really something that I learned about first from Ken Honda in his book, Happy Money. Wonderful book. I'll link to it in the description box down below if you haven't read it already. I also have a review I've done of Happy Money that I will link to that video in the description as well. But Happy Money really helped me make my mindset from consumer to investor. And Ken has a great quote here. He says, "You can start being an investor today. Not when you have more money, but when you have decided to treat the money you do have with respect." And I really like that as far as how much our ability to build wealth really does come down, not just to how much we're able to earn, which is obviously a big piece of it, but the mindset with which we approach the money that's coming into our bank accounts each and every month. So I love that quote from Ken. So after I read his book, I stopped asking how much can I buy and started asking how much can I invest. And that really shifted because that way I began to think of myself as an investor. I really hadn't made the connection ever before prior to reading this book, but it was so incredibly powerful because rather than looking at money as seeds that came in and you think about like you got some trail mix or some seeds in a seed packet and you have the option of either like eating those seeds now or you can plant them and let them grow for later. And when you're in consumer mode, you're just eating all the seeds that come in versus when you're in investor mode, you're eating the seeds you need to eat today, right? You're using the money you need to use today to help your lifestyle be working in today for you, and then also planting some of those seeds so that you can harvest the results of those later. And that is really the mindset of an investor right there in a nutshell. And so that was the shift that really helped me the most. So I really started investing even in small amounts. A couple of years ago, I took a online course about investing. Now you don't even have to spend any money these days to learn about investing. There is so much information online completely for free that you can learn about how to open something called an IRA or an individual retirement account. It's basically a tax advantaged account that helps you be able to save for retirement. And there's all kinds of different ways to invest as well. Some people choose to invest in real estate. Some people choose to invest in stocks. Some people invest in bonds. We've got money market funds. So there's just many, many, many different options. If you're a beginner and really wanting to just start learning about investing, I'd really recommend that you check out E-Trade. And this is not sponsored by E-Trade or Morgan Stanley. It's just the trading platform that I use. I would say for the non-investor, it is the best platform when you're just getting started and you're planning to manage your portfolio yourself and do your own education on this whole topic. Wonderful platform. And then Morgan Stanley actually acquired them a couple of years ago. And so now as an E-Trade member, you have access to many different resources with Morgan Stanley Private Banking, which I really appreciate that. They have some great high yield savings accounts. They've got high yield business checking accounts. They have many other products over there. So definitely check that out. You can do a ton of research on everything there is to invest in over there on E-Trade. You can look at as much data as you can possibly stand and then some in terms of companies' fundamentals, ETF performance. ETF is just shorthand for exchange traded funds. Think of it as a basket of different companies or a basket of different things that you're investing in that shopping basket of things rather than just having, say, one share of Google or one share of Apple. And so it's really nice to give yourself that ability to explore all of that. And there's a lot of people who do investment advising online as well. I would always recommend that you work with a professional licensed investment advisor as well if you're able to afford their fees, just to be able to come up with the best investment strategy for you, because where you are in your journey, where you are in your life, your different financial obligations, if you've got kids that you're raising and thinking about how you're going to put them through college, for example, your situation is going to be different from mine. So it's really important as you invest to make sure your strategy aligns with all your other overall goals and where you are in your life and in your retirement savings journey as well. But anyway, happy money was what really got me on that trajectory of thinking, oh, sure, I can invest. Absolutely, why not? It's something that a lot of people struggle with in terms of confidence around investing or investing at all. And so if you're new to this area, never fear, like any other skill, it can be learned. And so check out E-Trade and look into opening some accounts over there just to get yourself started. Remember too, when you're investing, you can make money, but you can also absolutely lose money. And so that's why it's really important to understand the strategy that's going to be best for yourself and to talk to a financial advisor as well about this. So my identity just really started changing when I thought of myself as an investor instead of a consumer, like I said. Now, the thing is, you don't get to have that nice, satisfying, wealth flex that you would normally get by having a big home that you can show off to your friends, or having a beautiful car that makes you feel really good when you're driving around town and people are kind of checking out your car. You're not going to get that kind of wealth flex as an investor unless you're also a very, very, very high net worth investor, of course. Then you're able to do all those things. But if you're choosing investing over consuming, which is what I switched over to doing a couple years ago, your wealth flex is going to be in quiet wealth, is what I like to call it. So my idea about what quiet wealth looks like is having your investments, having your net worth be in a really good place, be in a place you're very happy with, knowing that you're working towards financial independence, knowing that you're working towards retirement goals, and you're able to be generous with the people in your life and the causes that you care about, and having kind of all those boxes checked and having your financial life be in a really good picture. And then, like me, the trade-off is that you might be driving an older car, or you might be living in a smaller house that's not super flashy. So we make these trade-offs all the time, right? In terms of choosing what is going to be best for our individual situations and our families and our plans for the future and what we want in terms of financial independence. But just be mindful that it may take some compromises as well as you switch from being a consumer to being an investor, of thinking through how can you kind of lean into quiet wealth a little bit more and have things, I don't go around bragging about the amount of money in my portfolio. Even if I did, my friends would probably think that was odd. Although I do have a lot of friends in the financial and investment world. So, we do tend to compare notes about like how old of a car are we driving. It's definitely my tribe over here in finance. But you just don't get that same type of like Instagrammable stuff you can show off. But once you get out of that and realize that who cares if you're impressing someone else, you need to choose what's right for you and practice financial self-care for you, then it's easy to make that shift over to quiet wealth. So that is something that I've made the shift in the last couple years and never looked back. And I buy a lot less stuff. The nice thing too about not buying as much stuff is it's less stuff to clean, it's less stuff to store. My home is freer from clutter. I'm still working towards my minimalist goals, but it's freer from clutter than it used to be. Less stuff to insure. I mean, there's so many things that frees you up when you move from consumer to investor. So the results for me in this weren't instant, but they were very real. It helped me feel calmer, more empowered, more aligned with my goals, especially with working towards financial independence and my retirement goals. And even before my income changed, which my income, I am still working on building my income in this business, in my Etsy shop, other places. So I'm by no means independently wealthy, but I'm moving towards my goals of becoming a millionaire, of becoming financially independent, of having lots of ability to make decisions in the future with lots of resources to work with and trying to make the right decisions now. And I'm sure you're doing that as well in terms of prioritizing what's most important to you in your financial life. So now for me, every money decision starts with intention. So I ask before I'm going to purchase something or make a large investment, I think about, will this add to my peace of mind? Which obviously right now I want to acknowledge that for many people who are in investing, no matter how seasoned of an investor they are, the markets have been crazy the last couple of months with all the uncertainty from this current administration and the tariffs that they have chosen to impose on the majority of our global trade partners. And so that has induced a lot of uncertainty and a lot of chaos into the markets, unfortunately. So I'm on LinkedIn every single day with colleagues of mine who are much more experienced investment advisors and financial planners and further down the road in their careers than I am. And they even have said it's been a challenging couple of months coping with all the uncertainty in the markets and knowing how to best guide their clients through that. So just know that if you are getting into particularly the stock market these days, it's a different beast than it used to be a couple of years ago. And it's definitely important to proceed with caution and do your homework on kind of what are going to be the investments that are going to perform best in this current market in which we're in with everything going on. And then also with your goals in mind of how close are you to retirement? What other things are you working towards? Are you paying off debt still? All of these good questions. So just be mindful that this is an interesting time to be in the markets as well. A lot of people unfortunately lost a lot of money the last month or two as the markets have been very volatile. So just something to bear in mind there as well. So I always ask, will this add to my peace of mind? I ask, will it grow my net worth? So, there's just so many things. I used to think that going to shopping at Target and just kind of getting a coffee and, strolling around the aisles and just buying random stuff was fun. Now, you wouldn't catch me in Target because that is just not the way that I spend my time or my money anymore. And if it's fun, sure, it's fun, of course. And if you enjoy doing it, again, no judgment from me. This was just a change that I made in terms of being able to think about how to prioritize my time best and how to prioritize my spending the best, was to stop buying a lot of kind of those little odds and ends and incidental things without being really mindful and intentional about how much they were going to move me in the direction of having a higher net worth and building my wealth over time. And then the third question I've been asking is, do the investments I make reflect my core values? So that's another thing that's really important to think about is like as you're investing, have a really good look at the companies you're investing in, what they stand for. There's actually financial planners out there who specifically specialize in values-based investing. So in terms of people that want to just do eco-friendly investing, or they want to do like certain different types of investments, they will help you out specifically with that. But just try to make sure that the companies that you do invest in have values that align with yours, and that you're supporting with your investments you're making in those businesses, that you're supporting companies that you believe in, have good fundamentals, good leadership, and are transparent about the way that they do business. So that's something I always encourage people to look into as well. So the bottom line is you do not have to wait to become an investor. And again, investment, I think the first thing that comes to mind usually is the stock market, but it's not just stock market. You can also be buying rental properties and renting them out. Some people like to buy precious metals, although bear in mind here in the United States, precious metals, when you go to sell them, are taxed as collectibles, which equates to a 28% capital gains tax. So the tax on the difference between how much that gold, let's say, for example, the physical gold bar that you bought cost when you bought it versus how much you sell it for, the difference in there is what you get taxed 28% on. So just bear that in mind as well if you're looking into investing in gold. I know gold's been performing at all-time highs, so a lot of people have been really interested in that, but it's good to know that there's different taxes associated with holding physical precious metals. So it really does start with a mindset shift though, doesn't it? And would we have a video on this channel without at least touching on mindset a little bit? I think not. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm working on growing my channel this year. So if you would be so kind as to subscribe and hit the notification bell, leave me a comment. Those are all completely free ways that you can support what I'm doing here, and also help the YouTube algorithm know to show this video to a broader audience so that we can continue to add people to our community who are also interested in building financial independence for themselves. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again soon.